Why do men do this? Sending your kids away to summer camp so you can finally have a week of peace, quiet, and non-stop sex is a time-honored tradition. The most common types of camps focus on regular outdoor activities like hiking, swimming, and just generally having a good old time. For me, that's Kevin, who wrote today's script, not me. Summers have always meant a week or two at Boy Scout camp, and it was fantastic. Yeah, mostly when I was a kid, I was in the Navy Cadets, and we'd go away on, cadet camp. It wasn't called cadet camp, although there'd be a great name for it. What was it called? What the f*** was it called? It had a specific name. Fuck. Oh my god, it's been so long. It's been like 20 years. But it was great. I loved it. Camping was my favorite part of being in the Scouts, and we would go on a weekend camping trip every month. Oh my god. But the week-long camping trips were just a different experience entirely. There was a lot more time to learn valuable skills, and it was at Boy Scout camp that I earned my lifeguard certification, master scuba license, and where I got screamed at by my scuba instructor after some of us claimed we were going for a night dive but just swam across the lake to all the girls on the other side of the camp.
I'm proud of you, you know that. I hope you do.
Squarespace, my dudes. That's where you gotta go. You want a website? I wanted a website. I went to Squarespace. It was ridiculously easy. And I made my website before they introduced the new Fluid Engine, which is their next generation drag and drop. Like before it was drag and drop. And honestly, it was super easy. And then they introduced Fluid Engine. It's like, oh, made it even easier, have you, Squarespace? Well, that's brilliant because I like easy and I don't like difficult. Probably 99%. If you like difficult, you're just weird. In that case, if you really like your website to be hard to make and kind of shite, well, go somewhere else. But for everybody else, there's Squarespace. I feel like I'm doing a MasterCard ad. Did you have that in America? For something, there's MasterCard. For everything else, there's MasterCard. Oh, yes, some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard. But we're not advertising MasterCard, are we? What are you doing, Simon? This is a Squarespace ad. Jesus. You've got one job. This one thing pays your bills and you can't even do it right. But do me a favor, get some Squarespace because it keeps this channel going. It keeps the dream alive. It keeps the lights on. I mean, you watching this as well, but especially you watching this and then getting Squarespace. Thank you. Plus, they've got Squarespace Blueprint, AI, and SEO tools. This guided design system helps you create a personalized website with a professional layout and styling options. Wonderful. Plus, there's that Fluid Engine thing. I already mentioned that. You're welcome. Plus, want to do a course? Want to monetize your skills? Are you really good at something? Make a course about it, upload it to Squarespace. Boom. Charge people for it. Money in the bank, baby. Squarespace has everything you need to make your online presence shine. Go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/blaze to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. That's squarespace.com/blaze. Thank you. Happy website building. And back to it. What was that ending? What were you doing? Just stick to the bloody script. Jesus. on the other side of the lake. Kevin, your growing up sounds like how I would imagine growing up in America, but just based entirely on movies. So it's nice to know this is actually true. In our defense, the counselors there, who were the same age as us, had invited us. We overheard our instructor talking to the other adults the next morning, and he was clearly much more proud of us than he was angry, but he still had to yell at us for lying and breaking the rules. Even back then, though, there were plenty of options for summer camps beyond those focused on typical outdoor activities. If your parents found your corpulent existence to be embarrassing in the presence of company, you might have spent summers at the Fat Farm. Again, is this really a thing? Is it really called Fat Farm? Later renamed to Fat Camps.
Fat kids, my exclusive program of diet and ridicule will really get results.
It's got to be renamed to something else nowadays, right? It's got to be like, I don't know, something super politically correct. What would it be? Like the getting slightly healthier by losing some of your excess joy. Which were finally branded as weight loss camps or wellness retreats. Boom, wellness retreats. Mwah, beautiful. Of course, for anyone who grew up in the 80s or 90s, there was one summer camp that was the pinnacle of prestige. In America, anyway. I'm guessing Simon has never heard of this. I highly doubt it. Let's find out. But if you ever watched a game show on Nickelodeon growing up, more often than not, the grand prize was a trip to space camp. Yes, I have heard of space camp, but entirely through television, American television, about kids who want to go to space camp. This always sounded like the coolest thing ever, as you got to walk in simulated zero gravity, get spun around in a multi-axis trainer until you vomited, and take part in a simulated space mission in which the counselors would not hesitate to tell the children that if they failed the mission, they all died. Space camp sounds scary. It's like, we're gonna spin you around in this, like, what's it called? It's not a gyroscope. What's the thing, you know, the I'd love to try one of those. I hate getting sick, like the motion sickness. I hate that feeling. But yeah, I'd go in one of those like giant spinny machines. I'd regret it for like the whole day, but I'd definitely do it. Where your face gets like push. You know, that'd be awesome. I'd try that. I wonder if I can try that. If that wasn't fun enough, based on testimonials from people who went to space camp in its early years, the dorms were also filled with non-stop drinking, smoking, drugs, and sex. So exactly the same stuff your parents are getting up to back home. Hey, space camp is still going strong, but camp offerings have been increasingly diverse over the years. They range from the insane to the awesome to the somewhat questionable. And on that note, plantation camp, no shot. Plantation camp? Have you ever wished you knew your kids better? Wait! Oh my god, have I seen a video about this a really long time ago where some dude's telling his friends about plantation camp and he's not... Is this I've seen something about this. And there's some dude telling this story and it's fucking hilarious.
That's so funny.
Maybe Kevin will know this. Have you ever wished your kids better knew how to work the land and raise animals and crops to feed your family? No, I've never wondered that because we have food, obviously, but it comes in like little plastic boxes and it's delivered to your door. No, I've never needed my kids to help feed my family. That's what money is for. Mm-hmm. Have you wished you could understand that morning chores need to be done first thing when you wake up, even before breakfast, and that the rest of the other morning chores need to be done immediately after breakfast? And most importantly, have you ever wanted to send your child to a summer camp whose history and philosophy section on their website includes the words genocide and white supremacy?
What?
Well, yes and yes! Yes! Then Plantation Camp in Cazadero, California is the place for you or your children. Plantation Camp was first established in 1952 on the 30-acre farm of Abe and Eve Crittenden. Abe and Eve Crittenden sound like the most, like, if you could choose names for people who would be into, like, white supremacy, like, other than, like, Adolf, it would be these two. Allegedly. I mean, they're dead, right? 1952, they're dead. Allegedly. Admittedly, the name was finally changed from Plantation Camp to Farm Camp a couple of years ago. This was still called Plantation Camp in 2022? Bruh. Have you not seen that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio which explains the horrors of slavery? Something about being a slave, a number of years being a slave? Dude, you can't call it Plantation Camp. Apparently you can. But we're still going to stick with the original name. What's that, Simon? You want me to back the fuck up for a second and explain why the website for this children's summer camp includes the words genocide? No, I don't need you to explain that, Kevin. I want my kids to know how to genocide. What? And how to white supremacy. Let's go! What the fuck? Oh god, I'm going to get cancelled. It's just a joke. Just to be absolutely clear, it's just a joke. I don't want my kids committing genocide.
Allegedly.
Okay, fine, I suppose I can give you the relevant context. The local history section on the website begins by saying that Plantation Camp is situated on the traditional homeland of the Kashaya-Pomo tribe. They go on to say that they recognize the Kashaya-Pomo as the ancestral and present-day stewards of the land, and that they acknowledge the atrocities, genocide, and forced removal inflicted on the original inhabitants of this land. Oh, you do you? And now you use it to make money. Hey, America! That's all well and good, but it says that the tribes still live in the area, so if you feel that bad about what happened to the Native Americans, you could always give the land back instead of saying how you're going to honor their traditions and such. God damn. And yes, I recognize that, as an American, a statement like that is inherently hypocritical, since by default I also live on land that was stolen by Native Americans, but I also don't own 30 acres of land right next to the people it was stolen from. Honestly, the whole thing is a very weird tone to it. Oh my god, just now, the title of this thing was Plantation Camp! Honestly, the whole thing has a very weird tone to it. It's written to sound super liberal and compassionate, and it even uses words like surveillance that neither survivance, that neither I nor MS Word's 2007 spell checker have ever heard of. Kevin, why are you using MS Word 2007? What are you up to? But the careful use of language is another interesting element of this, because I'm picking up some major cult vibes from the original founders of Plantation Camp. Maybe that's Plantation Camp. Maybe that's just me though. But anyway, what exactly is Plantation Camp? Well, it's a lot like a regular plantation, except instead of being forced to work there against your will, your parents have to pay $1,400 per week.
Wait, what?
That's $200 a day. You can stay in like a reasonably alright hotel for that much money. What's up? For the privilege of you working their farm, the bell rings at 7:45 to wake you up, and then by 8 a.m. it's time to start chores. As a parent of young kids, I'm like, at 7:45? I don't remember the last time I woke up at 7:45. After an hour of chores, it's breakfast, then singing and announcements, and then back to chores. Everything after that is labeled as activities, but a lot of the activities sound like even more chores, or horseback riding if you're lucky. I don't know if you're lucky about that. Horseback riding is just, why do men do this? The chores range from, I'm sure there's some way to ride a horse that doesn't involve your balls getting like squashed under your leg. But if there is, I don't know it. The chores range from tending the garden to milking cows to chopping wood, and while campers get to request specific tasks, they will all be assigned chores, whether it was their choice or not. Obviously, that's the way it needs to be, because nobody's going to ride shoveling horse shit as their first choice, but that also sounds pretty miserable as a summer camp experience. Tell you what, if you're paying $1,400 a week, how about you use that money to pay someone to do some of the chores that you don't like? You know, you can have staff. Where's all the money going? In your pockets, allegedly. Though being forced to do chores on someone else's farm for a week doesn't sound like a fun idea for a summer camp, it's theoretically not the worst idea either. For a large portion of Americans, these are useful skills that will help them in their lives moving forward. No one needs this. It's 2024. No one who is like going to work on a farm doesn't already know how to work on a farm, right? It's not like someday you decide to leave the suburbs and go and be a farmer. And if you do, then you've got a passion for farming. It's not like, oh yeah, no, instead of getting a job at like, and I'm not saying like jobs are like super easy to come by, and yeah, I know it sounds a little bit privileged, but you can get a job, like a shitty job wherever. And if you're going to shovel horse shit, then that is literally a shitty job, but you're probably going to get like minimum wage-ish, right? As like the shoveler? I don't understand. I don't think this makes sense. The biggest issue with it from a conceptual standpoint is that anyone who would think Plantation Camp will teach their children the skills they need to excel in life probably has their own farm their kids should be working instead. Exactly! Kevin, then why did you say the first thing? And the second biggest conceptual issue is that it took 69 years and 4 different owners for somebody to realize that Plantation Camp was not a good name. Zombie Summer Camp. From the name alone, I suspect a large percentage of children would be instantly sold on this idea. If you told me as a kid that I could bring a Nerf gun to camp and spend all week shooting zombies, I'd have been all over that. Yeah, no doubt. That sounds awesome. But that's exactly what the non-profit organization, the Story School, is counting on. Sure, they advertise it as a summer camp dedicated to fighting zombies, but it's your classic bait and switch. Imagine sort of like the thumbnail to this video. Maybe. I don't know. Sometimes not. Maybe. Imagine being a kid who showed up to camp ready to fill a bunch of brain-eating zombies full of lead, or at least squishy projectile foam.
You should totally join in. Seriously, there's like 40 zombies in here.
Only to be first taken to a classroom to learn about first aid. Okay, that's fine. First aid could definitely come in handy if someone gets injured during the big zombie slaughterfest. But then before you can fight, you also have to study strategy, tactics, and how to achieve long-term goals. Sure, they would be useful in a zombie apocalypse, so I guess it makes sense. But then you get taken to another room where a camp counselor cosplaying as Alan Turing teaches you about binary code. And after that, it's learning about physics, DNA circuitry, and maths. Why? Where are the zombies already? You can't even pass the time by shooting your Nerf gun at other campers because the official camp rules say that you can bring your own gun, but you aren't allowed to bring any ammo. Before you can obtain the ammo, first you have to figure out what classic work of literature that week's camp is based off and use clues within that story to discover the location of the ammo cache. Alright, that does sound kind of fun. I'll give them that. That does sound kind of fun. I love a bit of puzzle solving. That's right, despite your parents telling you that you were going to zombie summer camp, they actually dropped you off at a STEM camp with a minor dose of history and literature mixed in.
That sounds awesome!
I don't know what STEM is. It's like science, technology, education, and engineering? Engineering and maths? So I guess that doesn't include history. Fine. Don't get me wrong, as a kid I would have absolutely loved all that nerd shit almost as much as I loved killing zombies. STEM camps are extremely popular, and with good reason. Math and science are awesome, dude. Yeah. And even as a kid, I was still an American, goddammit. You can't put a gun in an American's hand and tell them that they're not allowed to fire it until they learn to calculate where the bullets will land based on the initial velocity of the bullet, the angle of which it was fired, and the initial height off the ground. It's like, don't forget the Coriolis effect, spinning of the Earth, which apparently is a real thing. I mean, not the spinning of the Earth, that it affects bullets. Hell, at Boy Scout camp, we only had to sit through about 20 minutes of lectures about safety and firing range instructions before 9-year-old Kevin got to pull the trigger, and we were using real guns.
I'll shoot some of the rotten bastards. Can't be that much fun.
To be fair to the school story, the kids do eventually get to battle zombies multiple times, with the final event of the week being a zombie murder free-for-all.
Oh, fuck the hell, yes.
But the camp is still mostly about learning instead of shooting. They also have a Wizards and Warriors summer camp. That sounds like the one for the people who weren't nerdy enough for the already nerdy which is basically the same thing, but with foam swords instead of Nerf guns. And in 2015, the BBC even gave them approval to use Doctor Who for one of their STEM camps, although as far as I can tell, that hasn't come to fruition yet.
Oh, I can't wait. How old is he?
High Explosives Camp. Yes! Fuck slave labor and being taught calculus by zombies. Now we're talking. Every summer, Missouri University of Science and Technology offers explosives camp for kids who are going into their junior or senior year of high school. Why? It's like school shootings not enough, America? Do you need like little Ted Kaczynski's running around everywhere? What the fuck? That was the first one I found, at least, but it looked like multiple colleges and at least one high school offer similar camps. And every one of these programs is exactly as awesome as it sounds. This isn't some boring bait and switch where you sit in a classroom learning about the chemical composition and specific heat of various explosive compounds. Watch out for the dude at the back, feverishly taking notes and lifting things from the supply room. Just call that fucker Ted.
Right, Ted?
Oh, no, not me. I just have the one dream over and over.
This is a hands-on experience where kids get to blow the fuck up. America! And we're not talking about cheap sparklers or even the sort of 4th of July fireworks they have to buy at that one dodgy store in another state and sneak back across the border either. These are the kind of explosives where you have like 100 feet of cable between you and the dynamite, and you detonate the charge using those cool push lever things like in Wile E. Coyote cartoons. Dude, I'm down for explosives camp. I mean, it'd be a little bit weird because I'm an adult man, but like, if they had an adult version of this shit, I'd be like, yeah, I'm taking a week off work to go and do explosives camp.
12 seconds later.
As dumb little kids, we thought we were supposed to be jealous of the kids that went to space camp, but we had no idea that playing with C4 was an option. And of course, since these camps are run by schools, this isn't blowing shit up just for the hell of it. It's essentially a vocational training camp catering to a wide range of explosives-related careers. Maybe you want to work in demolition, or blast mining, or terrorism.
What?
Maybe you want to be a pyrotechnics expert working in the film industry doing special effects, or in terrorism. In fact, I'm adding the terrorism bits. In fact, for that reason, the training isn't exclusively limited to explosives. Campers also get to do things like create walls of fire that would be used as movie effects, or how to saw off an infidel's head with a bread knife. Again, I added that bit. Kevin didn't add that. The terrorist vibes just feel right for this.
Why are you the way that you are?
After a week of causing fires and explosives, the only natural way to celebrate at the end of explosives camp is by soaring a potato.
Go to hell!
Is by hosting a fireworks show designed, set up, and set off by the campers themselves. Wait, is this camp exactly like... You know, when I was a kid, I don't know how it was in America, but in the UK, there was so many adverts about, like, don't play with fireworks, and then some kid who's got, like, half a face. And you're like, oh, no, don't play with fireworks. It's like, unless you're at explosives camp, in which case, play the with fireworks. But what happens when school starts up at the end of summer and you have to go back to your boring regular school? When everyone talks about how they spend their summer vacation, would any of your classmates even believe that you spent the whole time playing with dynamite? Well, good news, because those camps don't just teach you how to safely set and detonate explosives, they teach you how to make them as well. Oh no, the feverish notes guy. If somebody calls you a liar, you can just carpet bomb their house to prove them wrong. Okay, that might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but the camps do teach you how to make your own fireworks, which is still pretty cool. And depending on what state you live in, also illegal. Hollywood Stunt Camp. In the same vein as Explosives Camp, kids can also attend Hollywood Stunt Camp. And unlike Explosives Camp, which is only for ages 16 and up, 16 years old, just like... Oh, what did you make, Robbie? Robbie Oppenheimer?
I made an atomic bomb.
And unlike Explosives Camp, which is only for 16 ages and up, you need to be 8 years old to be going to a camp for practicing a fulfilling and potentially painful career as a Hollywood stunt double. There's not even a lot to say about this camp because it is exactly what you think it would be. Kids get to practice hand-to-hand combat, both armed and unarmed, learn proper technique for falling, rolling, and tumbling, and learn to choreograph their own fight scenes. This sounds awesome. These stunts are no joke either, as campers may experience as much as a 30-foot fall. Awesome. As an unrelated side note, 30-Foot Fall was the name of some random punk band from Texas that sent a cease and desist letter to my friend's high school band, 50-Foot Fall. Really? Do people give that much of a Just make some fucking music. Clearly they were just mad that my friend's band was 20 feet better than theirs. Israeli Special Forces Camp. Okay. Explosives Camp and Stunt Camp sounded fun, but those are only for kids. What if you're an adult that wants to spend a week away at camp doing cool, violent Hoo-yah! Luckily for you, summer camps for adults exist as well. As far as I can tell, most of the ones that are intended for adults are weight loss camps. But if you're in the midst of a full-blown midlife crisis, there's also the Israeli Challenge Experience. Or at least there was. This particular camp shut down in 2015 after operating for decades, but I'm sure there are other camps just like it. So what exactly did the $3,650 week bi-weekly fee get you? Woo-wee, son! You stayed in a nice-ass hotel for that much money. Well, it didn't get you a plane ticket, so in addition to paying for the camp, you also needed to get your ass to Israel. That's right, this program was run in Israel, and all of the staff members were veterans of the Israeli Defense Forces with Special Forces training.
Well, sweet Mother Teresa on the hood of a Mercedes-Benz.
Fucking scary-ass mother... At least the teaching staff was. The administrative members were Americans with dual citizenship in Israel, so they probably didn't have IDF combat experience like the other staff. But once you made your way to the Israeli training camp, everything that followed was the ultimate paranoid survivalist's wet dream. You'd get to train firing M16s and Uzis on fully automatic mode, as well as lots of Glock pistols, and 5 other types of guns as well. Everyone who attended was also issued an authentic IDF army uniform and dog tags written in both English and Hebrew. There was much more to it than just playing with guns, though. After all, attendees were expected to be on their feet for training roughly 17 hours each day, so they had to be more than just burning through a mountain of ammo. Other training included how to patrol like a special forces unit, hand-to-hand combat including Krav Maga, how to detect explosives, and covert ops. After 6 days of extensive training, the weekend camp culminated in what they called War Night. During War Night, the campers put together a plan for a final mission, which they then needed to be approved by the commanding officers, in this case the camp staff. These were covert missions like bugging a location or stealing sensitive documents for a heavily fortified institution, bombing civilians. Don't go there. And War Night was set up to include combat challenges as well. It's unclear precisely what combat challenges meant, and since this was an isolated 100-acre camp using live ammo, there's a fair chance I don't want to know. At the end of the week, campers got to go home with their army uniforms, dog tags, and a few other secret prizes. Only secret is like, shh, don't tell the airport, but there's a Uzi in your bag. This bit is entirely speculation on my part, but the language used seemed to hold the implication that one of the secret mementos that people got to bring home is at least one of the guns they used. No, I was just joking, but holy shit. I may be misinterpreting that, but it's also possible that it was written specifically so that people would think they'd get to come home with their own fully automatic firearm to entice potential visitors. That is psycho. The people at that, if that's what they think, are psychos. What you may be asking yourself is what sort of lunatic would sign up for something like this? The website does specifically mention corporate team building as one of the reasons people would attend this camp, but that sounds like either a load of horse or some seriously wishful thinking on the part of the camp. To give you a better idea of the sort of people who go, allow me to read you one of the questions that they received so many times that it had to appear on the FAQ section on their website. Does this program make me an Israeli soldier? That's right, apparently there are people who genuinely believe that 1 week of training at some Special Forces summer camp would make them actual members of the Israeli army. And that's exactly the type of person that this camp was designed for. But hey, at least all of the food provided at their nightly barbecues was kosher. Yes! And that's where we end today's episode. Thanks for being here. Oh my god, just now, the title of this thing was Plantation Camp!